I began as an author, publishing 6 books, including a Seattle Times bestseller, before I was 20. Then I became a publisher and championed new voices for about 20 years. In 2011, I found myself the writer, director, and cinematographer of Ghost Sniffers, a family dramedy where children's disabilities grant them superpowers. Now a writer and director for BlueFlix Productions, I draw on my experience in the arts to teach in the Forge It workshop series. Let's begin. Welcome to Forge It. My name is Jennifer DeMarco, and I'll be teaching the next 16 classes on how to create your own web series. The Forge It workshop focused on web series creation is divided into 4 sections with 4 classes each. The first section is the words. We'll learn good story well told, genre, comparables, audience, POV, theme, central question, tagline, progression, shooting script format, terminology, and how to write. In the 4th class, you'll be able to test your skills, applying them to an existing series, Ghost Sniffers. Section 2 is the pictures. We'll learn about symbols, weather, color, angles, stills, pans, zooms, fades, and cuts. We'll also cover storyboards and converting tell to show. In the 4th class, we'll once again test our skills. You'll apply what you've learned to an existing series. Section 3, take action. Learn the roles of the writer, cinematographer, light crew, sound crew, prop manager, director, and the actors. Talk about the craft, inflection, poise, movement, improv, expressions, transitions, and character habits. For the 4th day of the Take Action section, you'll work with friends and family, whether they're professional actors or not. You'll write a sample scene for your own series and direct them through it. In the 4th and final section, you'll choose your tools. You'll learn about cameras, lighting, your slate, mics, prop management, where to find stock music and footage, how to hire crew, editing software, what's right for you and what can you afford. Then in the final 3 days of that section, we'll begin to truly craft your unique series, applying all the skills you've learned over the entire Forge It web series workshop. Good story, well told. We've all seen it before. A movie that has A-list actors, amazing special effects, beautiful locations, but it just wasn't interesting. A good story isn't just about the actors, or the director, or the writer, or the sets. It's about good story well told. Now, my first exposure to this idea, good story well told, was when I read an amazing book that really changed me as a writer and as a storyteller. The book was by Robert McKee, and it was called, tellingly, Story. Story is a dense book. It talks about films, current, classic, etc. But that's not what's important. What's important is that McKee tells writers everywhere, not just film writers, what good story well told really means. It means you have to start with a story that is arresting. You can have the best actor, you can have the best director, you can have stunning visual effects. But if the story, all by itself, the bare bones of your idea, isn't interesting, isn't captivating, then you're not going to keep your audience. They're not going to walk away talking about what you've created. And that's the ultimate goal, whether you're making a film or a web series or a novel or even a short story. You have to have that heart, that core. A passionate story that you really want to tell. No extra, just the meat. And that's our goal, to craft a story that's solid, that gives our actors something that they want to work with, something that has depth. And McKee covers that in depth. Though I recommend that all serious writers read McKee's book, maybe read it twice, we can break down good story well told right here. A good story has 9 essential milestones. The 9 milestones for building a good story are very straightforward. The inciting incident, the central question, the first act climax, what the hero desires, growth and change, a deeper commitment, the fall in action, what I call the final momentum, and the resolution. Open your milestone chart now, and let's go over it together. There are 4 milestones charts that came with your workshop registration. It doesn't matter which one you look at, any of them will do for now. We're going to ignore the notes about pacing, the episode or minute where the milestones should optimally take place. Let's just talk about the actual milestones right now. Let's begin with the inciting incident, which is all the way on the left-hand side. Your inciting incident sets the mood and tone. You want to grab your audience within the first few minutes, within the first few images that you show them. You don't want them to have to wait for something exciting to happen. What sets your series in motion? How does it all begin? This is the inciting incident. Next, we have the central question. What does your series ask? What drives it? What answer is it looking for? You want to reveal this relatively soon. The Act 1 climax is our hero's challenge, either for the overall series or for the individual episode. What is our hero up against? Soon after that, it's revealed what the hero truly wants, the hero's desires. Not just to beat the challenge and win the day, but what is the hero's deeper desire? To be reunited with his long-lost sister, acceptance from his family, or to prove to himself that he can stand on his own? What is the hero's personal desires? The hero will then begin to grow and change. You don't want your central characters, or really any of your characters, to remain stagnant, unchanged. You want them to change and grow. And in good story, well told, you want all your actors to be given a character that they're proud to play. A deeper commitment comes after change and growth. In order to succeed, to prevail, the hero must work harder, even harder than ever before. And just when everything seems that it will work out fine, we have our fall. This is something unexpected, and usually it is a negative turn in the plot. But somewhere in that negative turn, we have a new reveal, a new fact, a new twist that brings us hope or makes us despair even more. In the section that I call the final momentum, but is on the charts as the resolution begins, that's where momentum builds toward the end of your series or episode, depending on what you're charting out. This momentum gives us a hint of what is to come, a hint of what the final outcome will be. The final step is the resolution. This gives the audience what they wanted, but not what they expected. You want to leave your audience satisfied, but also surprised, not shocked by an onslaught of new facts, but surprised by the hidden gems that you've placed throughout your series or episode. Your episode can end on a high note or a low note. And your series can too. Ultimately, that's up to you. Think about your favorite film. What is its inciting incident? Let's make up a film right now. An inciting incident, perhaps the death of a parent. The central question, did my father really love me? The climax, at the reading of the will, a safety deposit box and a key are revealed, and our hero must see what that's about. The hero desires. The hero desires not just to know whether or not his father loved him, but whether or not he is ultimately lovable. His dog ran away. His wife left him. He has no children of his own. How can he know that he is truly lovable, even completely on his own? Growth and change. Our hero spends days deciding whether or not to go to the safety deposit box, whether or not to use the key. During that time, he starts to see himself in a different light. Because he's constantly thinking about it and not thinking about his everyday life, he starts to see his surroundings differently. He starts to notice that other people, the woman who runs the corner store, the old man who waits for a chess opponent in the park, people watch him. Sometimes they even smile at him. What does that mean? A deeper commitment. Our hero decides he will go to the safety deposit box. He opens the safety deposit box. This scene is drawn out. It's shot from a lot of different angles. Some of it even runs in slow motion. Not to be campy or overly dramatic, but to show how incredibly huge, what a massive decision this man has made to move forward and use that key to open that box and see what his father has left inside. The falling action. In the safety deposit box, our hero realizes that his father had another family. His father had other children. He's shocked and he is devastated. In the final momentum, our hero decides to do what? Track down this other family, meet them, find out about them, burn the papers that he took from the safety deposit box. Whatever he decides, momentum will build until the audience cannot hold their breath any longer. They have to know what will happen. In the end, the resolution, it's up to you as the writer to create your good story well told. You have to decide, will you end on a positive note or on a negative note? Either way, you've crafted an interesting story. Now, of course, the example that I just gave probably wouldn't fill a 120-minute feature film. It might not even fill a web series of 12 10-minute episodes, which of course would turn into a 120-minute feature film. But it might very well fill a single episode in a web series. Whether or not my example story had enough meat to carry a long-term project isn't the point. The point is, each milestone is equally as important. And as the writer, you choose what happens at each of those milestones. We'll talk about pacing later on. But right now, take a moment with your own web series idea. And don't worry, no one's judging you. You don't have to show this to anyone. Just make a rough draft. What are your 9 milestones for your overall series? What will your hero go through? What will send your hero on his or her journey? Do that now. Are you done with your milestones? And remember, you don't have to show anyone. A draft is just that, a draft. Every single thing about it can change in the future. So good story is what we've just talked about and what you have now begun to build. Well told, well, that's when you put it all together. Let's talk about genre. Why is it important? A lot of us don't like labels, but genre is important, even if it's a made-up genre or a genre that you create. When found footage films were first created, it wasn't really a genre. It had never really been done before, but it became a genre, a relatively acceptable genre at that. My show Ghost Sniffers is a family show, but I use dramedy as its genre. It's a drama, and it's a comedy, a dramedy. Go to imdb.com. Look up films that you like. Look at how they're being listed. What is their genre? I think you might be surprised. A film that you might lump into the horror category might actually be listed with a little bit more nuance, such as a psychological thriller or even a psychological drama. It really does make a difference, both to how you'll be categorized, how you submit to festivals, and how everyone will see you in the press and when people are browsing and deciding what they want to watch. A genre can also make a huge difference on what kind of actors might respond to you. There's no right or wrong here, but obviously certain actors will be drawn to certain genres. If they love science fiction, they might be very likely to go there. But think of a show such as Battlestar Galactica. If you just lumped it into just straight science fiction, well, what does that mean? Is it purposely B-grade? Is it campy? Well, no. Battlestar Galactica was very serious, and it dealt with a lot of large issues such as religion and conspiracy, and what is the nature of loyalty. So you might say there, you're really looking at more a drama that happens to be set on a spaceship. Go explore genre now. IMDb is one resource, but you can look up any of your favorite films and see how they're being tagged. Or if you have a local video store that rents DVDs, you can also find the genre on the case, or look in your own personal library of DVDs. It's almost never on the DVD itself, almost always on the back of the case. Go ahead and take out another blank piece of paper or work in your notebook and make yourself a list of all the genres that might be assigned to your web series. Again, this is just a draft. When you're done, you might circle the 2 that you think fit most. Everything about this can change, but it's good to have these notes now that you can look back on. When you're done with that, let's come back and we can talk about other shows that are like yours. You've completed your list of genres. Good work. Hopefully, you were able to find 1 or 2 that fit the best. Those are circled. Now we're going to look for other films, web series, television shows, books, comics, other shows that are in those genres, or that single genre. These are the shows that are like yours. Now, I know you probably think that your idea is incredibly unique, and there are no other series exactly like yours. And of course, you're right, there aren't. Nothing is exactly like your idea. But in many years of publishing, one of the things that I came across a lot was I would ask an author, what is your book like? What is another book that's similar to it? And they would say, oh no, there's absolutely nothing at all like mine. That very, very rarely proved to be true. Because there's always some central theme. Remember going back to our 9 milestones, some central question, or what the hero desires, or even the climax or inciting incident. There's always some similarities between what you've written and what other people have written. There are only so many stories to tell. It's the way we tell them and the characters that we use, the twists that we work in. That's what makes our work unique. Because of course, that's us. What you want to find now, and we could stop the class right here, and you could spend a month doing this. You want to find other series like yours, and you want to study them. Not so you can steal their ideas, not so you can emulate or copy or lift their plots. No, in some ways, you want to see how they're doing it, because the people watching your show, that will come to watch your show, are probably watching these other shows. They're probably reading these other books that are similar, that have some similar elements, some similar milestones, or a similar topic to your series. You want to look at these and see how they're dealing with character development, so that, and plot pacing and twists and what they're giving the audience, so that you can, in some ways, do it even better. And also so you can avoid unintentionally copying someone else's ideas. You want to push yourself to be the most unique that you can possibly be. And the way you do that is by mastering your genre. You have to know what other people are doing in your genre. When I hear a writer or an actor say that before they were hired for a show, they had never watched it or seen it, that actually doesn't impress me. Even if they go on to do an incredible job, personally, as a director and a producer, I want to know that someone has done their research, that they know material backwards and forwards before they even apply for a position. Now, of course, not all of us have that kind of time for a job that we may not even get, but that is what impresses me. And that's what's going to impress your viewers. You're going to know your genre. You're not going to come into your genre assuming that purple aliens are completely unique when actually purple aliens appear on 20 different series with your genre. You want to be different. You want to stand out from the crowd. If fans on fan websites don't like the way a character was dealt with, maybe you shouldn't deal with your characters that way. Learn from others' mistakes and also learn from their successes. What works? What doesn't? Never copy. Always try to up the ante, push the envelope, go one step further, and one step even better. Now you've researched your comps. You know what people expect in your genre, what they like and what they don't like. You've read posts from fans on fan websites, and you are now the master of your genre. You're not going to accidentally think that an idea is unique that's actually been overused. You're not going to accidentally blunder into a mistake that another series has by, for instance, killing off the main character and losing more than half their fan base. You are going to up the ante and push the envelope. You're going to find success above and beyond everything that everyone in your genre has found. So now that you've researched your comps and you have a rough idea of your genre, let's talk about your audience. When you first started to think about your series, maybe you thought that the kind of people who would be watching your series would be people basically your age and your gender and your background. But now that you've looked at the genre you're going to write in and you've studied the comps, has your idea of who your audience will be, has it changed? Maybe your audience is broader than you knew. Maybe it's more narrow. Either way, you want to know your audience. Now, if most of your comps are films or television shows, there are many websites that you can easily find that will show the ratings. They'll show what type of people win, their gender, their age, sometimes even more statistics than that. That's what you want to look at now, who your audience is going to be. Why is this important? It's important because you need to know how to speak to them. If your audience is under 10 years old, then look into what is a 10-year-old learning in school? What topics are too much for them? What topics are beneath them? You don't want to talk to them as if they're a toddler, but you also don't want to be dealing with adult issues that they won't be able to process yet, and that they'll become either bored with the show or, in some ways even worse, confused by the show. Discover who your audience is, and you'll know who your fans will be. And those are the people that will keep your show running for a long, long time. This ends our first class in the first section of the Forge It web series workshop. We've talked about building good story using the 9 milestones approach, genre, comps, audience. Those are the first 4 steps to building the words that will create your successful web series. Join me again for class number 2 in the words section. Thanks.